everybody. Today I'm going to be doing a collab with a really lovely young man called Got That ASMR. I discovered his channel a few weeks ago, and there was one video in particular that I really loved, and he was reading a book and tapping on it at the same time. So I asked him if he would like to do a collab and he said yes. So I'm really happy. I'll leave all these details in the description below. Please check him out. Send him some love. Okay, for my part of the video I have chosen Vogue magazine. I haven't looked at it, so we're going to look at it together. Ralph Lauren. We'll see what kind of fashion. Oh, well, not very ladylike, I must say. Probably looks a bit like me after half a bottle of vodka. But anyway, I'm not keen on the feathers, although I do love feathers, but I'm not keen on this look at all. I'm 45 though. Very pretty. Dior. Gucci. Oh, I love these sunglasses. Look at them. They're like rose gold. Yes, loving that look. Loving that. Chanel. I love Chanel. What have we got here? Oh, Lancome. La Vie est Belle. Oh, Julia Roberts. Isn't she gorgeous? So pretty. Burberry. Nice bag, I like the bag. Bag's lovely. Definitely a bag lady. Yves Saint Laurent. Another one I absolutely love. I love their fragrance, Black Opium. I like the regular opium too, but the Black Opium's much lighter. Chanel. If I won the lottery or had the money, I would be a Chanel girl. Oh, that's a nice picture. To be young again. See that the browns and the oranges are back in fashion. I've actually got many pictures of me as a youngster wearing orange and brown dresses. That was back in the 70s. So it just shows you everything does come back in fashion. Celine. It's a cute picture. Valentino. I've actually never really looked at anything Valentino. Not sure about this. Not sure about that. Oh. I've actually just got this oil out my latest and beauty bag. It's really good. Ooh, yes. Louis Vuitton. That's a dream bag right there, isn't it? Oh, I like the green. Oh, yes. I would sleep with I like the pink, but wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Beautiful. Beautiful rings. This is the only ring I wear. And it was given to me by my mum. And I consider it a good luck ring. And I have the fear every time I take it off. Oh, now this dress reminds me of my beautiful friend Peggy Whispers and Chaos, because it's like a kind of mermaid dress. I can imagine Peggy just coming out of the ocean with this beautiful dress. Alexander McQueen. This reminds me of the scene out of Breaking Bad when they're in the junkyard. Oh, is it a freebie? No, it's not a freebie, it's just a wheel that makes you see what colour. I think I would be 050. My daughter Sophie would be the 010. She's very light skinned, and my other daughter Amanda would be 011. So definitely the 70s look going on here. Definite 70s look. Giorgio Armani. Oh, Versace. Pamela, I don't know what that is. Never heard of the beautiful rings. Chloe. Black Orchard. Lovely mushrooms. Jimmy Choo. I'm only going to do half this book, and then I'll do another video with the second half because I'm already at 8.5 minutes and we're doing 10 minutes each. And I've still got a lot of the book and I know you want to look at it, so. Ooh, that is nice. I like that. I don't like this, however. My goodness. I do not like that. Horrible, I must say. Oh, that's a really thick page. Oh, that's because it's good things. Oh, yes. Ooh, let's try this one. Marc Jacobs Decadence. Ooh. Oh, let's try this. Smells wonderful. I think that one's just the same. Oh, lovely. So I'm going to stop my part of the video now because that's 10 minutes and we're doing 10 minutes each. So the rest of the book I will do in another video and put it on my channel after this one goes up, and you can see the rest of the book. So everyone, please check out my lovely friend. I will link his channel below. Send them some love and hugs and tell him Blueberry sent you. I love you all. You are my little berries. Bye.
Hello everybody, my name is Nathan, and I'm currently wearing a blanket because I feel like it, I guess. Yeah. So I'm gonna be reading a book called The Fire Sermon, and I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started, shall we? Chapter 1. I'd always thought they would come for me at night, but it was the hottest part of the day when the 6 men rode onto the plain. It was harvest time. The whole settlement had been up early and would be working late. Decent harvests were never guaranteed on the blighted land permitted to Omegas. Last season, heavy rains had released deeply buried blast ash in the earth. The root vegetables had come up tiny, or not at all. A whole field of potatoes grew downward. We found them, blind-eyed and shrunken, 5 feet under the mucky surface. A boy drowns digging for them. The pit was only a few yards deep, but the clay wall gave way, and he never came up. I thought of moving on, but all the valleys were rain-clogged, and no settlement welcomed strangers in a hungry season. So I'd stay through the bleak year. The others swapped stories about the drought, when the crops had failed 3 years in a row. I had only been a child then, but even I remembered seeing the carcasses of starved cattle sailing the dust fields on drafts of their own bones. But that was more than a decade ago. This won't be as bad as the drought years, we said to one another, as if repetition would make it true. The next spring, we watched the stalks in the wheat fields carefully. The early crops came up strong. Okay, now I'm just like extremely annoyed, so anyways, let's get back to the book. That totally just like got my ASMR zen out of focus. From my own small plot, I harvested a fat sack of garlic, which I carried to market in my arms like a baby. All spring, I watched the wheat in the shared fields growing sturdy and tall. The lavender behind my cottage was giddy with bees, and inside, my shelves were loaded with food. It was mid-harvest when they came. I felt it first, had been feeling it, if I were honest with myself, for months. But now I sensed it clearly, a sudden alertness that I could never explain to anybody who wasn't a seer. It was a feeling of something shifting, like a cloud. Like a cloud moving across the sun, or the wind's changing direction. I straightened, scythe in hand, and looked south. By the time the shouts came from the far end of the settlement, I was already running. As the cry went up and the 6 mounted men galloped into sight, the others ran too. It wasn't uncommon for alphas to raid Omega settlements. stealing anything of value. But I knew what they were after. I knew too that there was little point in running, that I was 6 months too late to heed my mother's warning, even as I ducked under the fence and sprinted toward the boulder strewn edge of the settlement. What? Even as I ducked under the fence and sprinted towards the boulder-strewn edge of the settlement, I knew they would get me. They barely slowed to grab me. One simply scooped me up as I ran, snatching the earth from under my feet. He knocked the scythe from my hand with a blow to my wrist and threw me face down across the front of the saddle. When I kicked out, it only seemed to spur the horse to greater speed. The jarring as I bounced on my ribs and guts was more painful than the blow had been. A strong hand was on my back, and I could feel the man's body over mine as he leaned forward, pressing the horse onward. I opened my eyes, but shut them again swiftly when I was greeted by the upside-down view of the hoof-whipped ground bolting by, just when we seemed to be slowing and I dared to open my eyes. I felt the insistent tip of a blade at my back. "We're under orders not to kill you," he said. "Not even to knock you out," your twin said. "But anything short of that, we won't hesitate. If you give us any trouble, I will slice off a finger, and you'd better believe I wouldn't even stop writing to do it. Understood, Cassandra?" I tried to say yes, but I managed a breathless grunt instead. We rode on. From the endless jolting and the hanging upside down, I was sick twice, the second time on his leather boot. I noted with some satisfaction. Cursing, he stopped his mount and hauled me upright, looping a rope around my body so that my arms were bound at my sides. Sitting in front of him, the pressure in my head was eased as the blood flowed back down to my body. The rope cut into my arms, but at least it held me steady, grasped firmly by the man at my side. We traveled that way for the rest of the day. At nightfall, when the dark was slipping over the horizon like a noose, we stopped briefly and dismounted to eat. Another of the men offered me bread, but I could manage only a few sips from the water flask. The water warm and musty. Then I was again hoisted up, in front of a different man now, his black beard prickling the back of my neck. He pulled a sack over my head, but in the darkness it made little difference. I sensed through the sack covering my face, glints of light began to show. I could feel the presence of people all around me, more even than at Haven on market day. Thousands of them, I guessed. The road steepened as we rode on. Slowly now, the hooves' noise became cobbly. Then we halted, and I was passed, almost tossed down to another man, who dragged me, stumbling for several minutes, pausing often while doors were unlocked. Each time we moved on, I heard the doors being locked behind us. Each scrape of a bolt sliding back was like another blow. Finally, I was pushed down onto a soft surface. I heard a rasp of metal behind me. A knife sliding from a sheath. Before I had time to cry out, the rope around my body fell away, slit. Hands fumbled at my neck, and the sack was ripped from my head, the rough burlap grazing my nose. I was in a low bed in a small room, a cell. There was no window. The man who'd untied me was already locking the door behind him. Slumped on the bed, the taste of mud and vomit in my mouth, I finally allowed myself to cry, partly for myself, and partly for the twin, and partly for my twin, for what he'd become. So that was chapter 1. Shout out to Scottish ASMR Blueberry. I love her voice. Like, it's like Christmas Day whenever I hear it, if that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense, but I don't know, it's just really nice to hear her talk and read and whisper. It's very relaxing. Ugh. Chapter 2. The next morning, as usual, I woke up from dreams of fire. As the months passed, the moments after such dreams were the only times I was grateful to wake up to the confines of the cell. The room's grayness, the familiarity of its implacable walls, were the opposite of the vast and savage excess of the blast I dreamed of nightly. There were no written tales of pictures of the blast. What was the point of writing? Oh, I just remembered I need to make this like a 10-minute video. Sorry. Yeah, I think I'm at 14 minutes. See you guys later.